It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Vera and Heather back again with another episode of I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hi, Vera.
Hello, Heather. How you doing?
Oh, man. Did the last month happen or did I just dream it?
It could be a combination of both.
Oh, my gosh. My head's swirling still. I'm trying to come down. As you know, I had 2 conferences basically back to back and, throwing in COVID and Delta and blah, 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 blah. It was just, it was a lot. But both conferences worked really well. We had great attendees. Everybody loved being in person. We took, obviously precautions. So it wasn't like Wild Wild West or anything.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, I know that it's still scary for a lot of people, but it is really, you don't realize how much you miss seeing people in person until you finally do again.
Absolutely. We had so much hand sanitizer going on.
Oh yeah, I'll bet. All kind of slathering going on. That sounds almost delicious. Sorry.
Oh, meow. So you're an empty nester now, officially.
I am. And it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, because you were like, get out. I'm ready to.
I was.
Yeah, my own space.
Like we even talked about, it's like when you're 9 months pregnant, and you're like, okay, I'm ready. Go ahead. When you're about 7 months, you're like, oh, I don't want to let the baby go. It's going to be out there in the world. And then, 9 months, you're like, get this creature out of my body.
Well, and then you have the baby and you're like, can I put it back? Because I just want some uncomfortable sleep right now.
Right.
As long as
exactly. I'll take anything. Yep. So that was kind of the way I felt, and I think, I've talked to other moms of teenagers and they've agreed that perhaps, and we've touched on this, perhaps they kind of become stinkers. So it is easier to see them go, it's just the eye rolls and the attitude and the, so that was all happening. So I thought, I'm ready, let's go. And he's also going to school. He's living in a dorm here in town, but he's going to school. Well, he's living in a dorm. So, but he's here in town. So it's not like he's 500 miles away or anything like that, but it's still strange. Like I'll still have a little thought in my head, like, oh, Luke's going to be home soon. And then I'll realize, oh, he's not coming home.
Oh. Have you FaceTimed a lot?
Well, he's been texting and calling and then he's shown up at the house and that. Yeah. So we can go into more detail about that because I think we need to bring in our guest.
You should put up a sign like trespassers will be shot or something.
Right. Especially when it's named Luke. No.
Without notice. If you come without notice, you're
right. Exactly.
You're gonna be kicked out.
Heads up first only.
Yep. Well, speaking of guests, we have Paige Bruce here, who is a licensed therapist and parent educator. Welcome, Paige.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We are so excited about you being here because I know that I need help. And then I think Vera, with her new endeavor, probably could use some advice or some guidance from an expert, not me.
Yeah, exactly. Because, Heather and I can and come up with all kinds of fun theories, but it is nice to have somebody, a professional, who can actually guide us a little bit.
And just a collection of experiences. I'm out there collecting experiences from people going through this. So let me bring that to you.
Yes.
It's normal.
Definitely.
It's okay.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit about you, a little bit more. I mean, aside from being a therapist and a parent educator, I understand you're a mom too.
Yes. So I'm a mom of 3 kids, 6 and under. Wow. And I love it. I'm a true crime junkie and always willing to talk about true crime statistics. I learned on Criminal Minds.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Forensic files all the way.
All the time. I started everything from the beginning. Like, tell me how much now. And I love coffee. Coffee is my love language.
Okay.
And tacos. Coffee and tacos.
Tacos. Rock on. No, maybe not together though.
Yeah. That'd be weird.
That's great. Well, so how long have you been a therapist and what made you decide to go into this particular field?
Yeah, so I've been practicing individual counseling since grad school in 2018, but I've always worked with children and families in a behavioral health setting. Since I was very young, I was like, oh, I'll be a lawyer someday. And I had a whole map out of how I was going to be a politician. Like, be a lawyer, be a politician, be the president. And then I realized, like, I don't want to do any of that. want to work with kids forever because I'm a kid. So I started nannying at 14. I graduated high school early at 17 and took off for college and worked with children with developmental disabilities and individuals on the spectrum learning life skills. And then I opened an in-home daycare to provide parent education and a safe space for people to leave their children because it was really needed where I lived in Phoenix. And then there was that added piece where I could be like, hey, this is what's happening developmentally with your kids right now and some stuff that you guys could do together. And then from there, I started a job with families doing family counseling and life skills and working through that. And I loved it. And I love individual counseling just the same. But what I love about it is I work with kids and teens and young adults. So kind of transitioning into those college years, early 20s. And then on the side piece, I get to work with the parents and do some parent educating to help them bridge some of those communication breakdowns. That's really
nice. I mean, so admirable. And it, on top of that, juggling 3 kids, you're on your own. I mean, your kids, it's got to be like, I don't know if I would have the emotional stamina for all of that. Because I have one kid. Heather has one also, Baker, and he's 3, and I have Luke, who is 18. No,
he's 4.
He's 4 now. Holy cannoli. Mm-hmm. That's just time needs to slow down.
Just had a birthday.
Baker's 4. That's right, because we talked about birthday parties not too long ago. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that was when we started this podcast. That was one of the angles that we were like, okay, well, here's a mom of a young child, and here's a mom of a older child. Of course, we've been doing this for a couple of years, but even still. And like we were talking about, mine is now quote unquote away at college, but at least not living in the house. And it is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be for both of us. I thought for sure there's going to be an adjustment, of course, with COVID and everything that last year, that started in his junior year, and basically it's still happening. So that his routine, he used to have cello lessons and karate lessons, and, he had a schedule and a routine that he followed. And then, of course, that just fell apart when everybody started learning virtually. And he kind of, I think, like a lot of us, went off the rails. And I went off the rails. Like I said, us. So that was the beginning of it. But then too, here he is, he's used to having this one set of group of friends from high school and everything. And even though a lot of them are still in town, they're pursuing college or fire school or culinary school or, doing their things. And it's just not the same. So he's struggling with that. And then I think he is struggling with not being at home with me, because he and I are very close, because I was a single mom for a while. And so we kind of bonded before I got married to my husband now. So all those things, I'm trying to give you all the background information. Yeah. And then, I mean, literally, it's been like a roller coaster where he'll text me at one point in the day and just be like, I think I'm figuring school out. I think I'm good. And then like 6 hours later, he's like, I can't do this anymore. And he's just to let you know, too, he does struggle with anxiety. So I think that on top of it doesn't help any,
But I think that's kind of like adults that have been there. At least for me, I'm very much so like that, where I'm like, yeah, I got this. And then towards the end of the day, I'm just like,
I don't got it.
Yeah. I don't got it. Send help.
Yeah. Please send candy.
Yeah.
Heather's a candy holic. So, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's kind of the background. I don't know if that's enough information, but so if that's enough to then say, Paige, help.
I mean, that's a lot of information.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it was beautiful. And the first thing that came to mind is what an incredible opportunity of identity development you both are in. You're both going through the life change. And I think sometimes as parents, we forget that. We, raise our kids, and we have so much of our identity tied into being mom and being the nurturer and provider and making sure they learn these skills, that when they go through a role transition, like, hey, now he's a young adult, right? And I'm sure you've practiced the skills with him. Like, he knows how to call you. He knows how to schedule appointments. He knows how to get to class. That's the hard part, those skills. So he's transitioning, but you're also in this area of identity development where like this huge part of your identity is now out and floating around the town.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of feels like, only it's even worse, like when he started driving. And I remember the first time, I bought him his car and he pulled away in this car. And I was like even now I'm kind of tearing up talking about it. And I was like, oh my God, he's out there. And I thought I'd be so excited because I'd have this freedom where I wasn't having to drive him everywhere all the time. And so it kind of feels like that, only in some ways it's like maybe not quite as sharp of a feel. Like the car thing was like this bam, like the stab to the heart. Whereas this is just kind of this weird, slow burn of pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it just like means you love him and he loves you. That's the first thing that comes to my mind as a clinician that works with families, right? It means you have a great relationship.
So what do I do though to keep him calm and keep him, because he'll, like I said, I mean, I've been trying really hard and I think we're getting it. So we're only a few weeks in. So I think we're getting there, but like, do you have any suggestions? Like when he calls me freaking out about something, like how do I want to keep myself calm and keep him calm and give him the best advice I can. But like, perfect. Here's an example. I was out to dinner for a belated birthday for me and for a girlfriend of mine. So it was about, maybe 15 women at a restaurant and we're opening presents and doing happy birthday stuff. And he calls me. Well, so I answer because I'm always worried. What if he needs something? So, and then he says, Mom, what are you doing? I said, well, actually, I'm at a birthday dinner for me and for Mom too. That's one of my friends we call Mom too. And he said, oh, okay. So anyway, I think that I've started to figure out this college and starts going into this big thing. And I was like, eventually I was like, you know what? I'm really glad that you're figuring that out, but can we talk about this later? I'm kind of in the middle of something. Luckily, he was pretty much okay. But again, depending on his mood, there'd be other times where he would have been like, but Mom, Yeah. So what feelings do you get about that kind of scenario?
Well, I think you guys are in a navigation stage of redefining roles, right? And that's the hardest part. Just like when we work through reparenting or understanding our family and stuff, we're going through these transitions. And so now you're working at like feeling out and redefining what your role for him is. You're always going to be Mom. You're always going to be there unconditionally. But what does that look like now? Right? And I actually specialize in anxiety and depression. And trauma.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's not, woo, anxiety, depression, and trauma. Right? Yeah. That's stuff. But yeah,
the best thing that you are doing is exposing him, right? So the more that we try to remove the anxiety or the thing that's causing the anxiety, the more intense the response is. So when you're handing over these roles and responsibilities to him, you're there as a guide, right? You're there as the net as he's walking across this whatever it is. Yeah. And you're there to catch him when he needs it, because that's your role, your safety still, but you're exposing him and he's being exposed. And the more exposed he is, the less intense the response will be, because the confidence grows. It's exposure therapy in its basics. So if it's causing him some level of anxiety, work through what his responsibility is in that. What can you control while still doing it? We're not going to avoid it. We're going to still do it. And he knows the answers. He just needs you to coach him a little bit. Okay, what do you think you should do?
See, because he texted me, let's see, I think it was Friday. And he said, it was kind of weirdly worded, but it was something like, in our family, is it okay if I leave school to take a mental health day? Because I don't feel well. And so I said, well, yeah, sure. As long as you got to keep up with your work, though. You don't want to start falling behind. And he was like, cool. And that's the first, granted, we're only 3 weeks in, but I am a big proponent of, if you're really not feeling well, sometimes pushing through too much, it can be too much, especially with someone who's anxious. So he seemed to be okay. And so far as I know, he's at school today. So cross your fingers. So with that, do you think that would be a good, or was that, because then there was a part of me that's like, well, maybe I'm a little bit too lax with him, or is that, did I do it right?
Ultimately, Luke sounds like a great kid. You're lucky, because a lot of my young adults are like, screw you, mom. I don't care what you say. So
Yeah.
ultimately, what can you control in that scenario? I mean, you could probably be like, no, you need to go to school, and he would go. But if he chose to stay home, that's not within your control.
True.
So I would look at it that way. Now that he has these new roles and responsibilities, what's within your control? And whether or not he takes a mental health day is not in your control. You can say, like, that is something that we take. This is what I believe in that. What do you feel like you should do? Right? You're giving him a compass to navigate.
I like that.
If I were in your scenario, this is how I've handled it.
Yeah.
And teens, young adults and teens in their brain development, just so you know, the best way that they learn is either seeing it happen for themselves or relating to it in a third party scenario. So if you're like, so one time when I was at work and really struggling to continue to push through, to deliver a metaphorical life lesson.
Well, see, that really makes sense to me too, because then it's not like I'm exactly telling him what to do, but like you said, it's a third party. It's a story. Here's the story of what I did, and here's how it worked out for me. So I like that. I want to remember that. I need to make a note.
Yeah, and it's so powerful. So when I went to college, I was 17 in a college town where they wouldn't hire anybody that was under 18. And I ran into a really tough month where it was food or rent. What was I going to do? And I was raised by my grandparents. So I called my grandpa and I was like, I don't know what to do. I am in this place where I haven't been able to get a job. I'm running out of money and I just need help. I was like, I need help. And he's like, okay, I'm here to help you. Like, how can I help you? And I was like, well, and I hate asking. I've always have, right? Hyper independence trauma response. I hated asking for help. But I was like, I need like $100 for food, or I need $300 for rent. And he's like, okay, well, you work out what you need and I will help you. And so then I have this internal battle. I was like, how much help am I going to ask for? And what does it look like? And that honestly was a pivotal moment in my ability to manage finances as a young adult. And I ended up selling some stuff, like at pawn shops from a jam, pawning some stuff, paid rent, and then asked for $100 for food. And like it just the opportunity to work through that myself. Even though I had him, right? He wasn't going to let me go hungry or go homeless, of course. And neither would you. But the ability to work through that and problem solve really was like, whoa, I'm not going to have everything that my parents gave me right away. It's not like that anymore. And I need to figure out how I'm going to work through these scenarios.
Yeah. Well, and I think that like you touched on, once you got yourself through that, then you're kind of like, go me. I can handle it. And it's empowering. Yeah.
And I never had to do it again.
So how would you walk through something if a child is super, or young adult, I guess, or even adult is super, doesn't really think the same way as their parent. But then their parent says, well, this is what I would do. Could the kid consider, like, potentially think, well, this is what you want. This is what I need to do then, because my mom or dad said this, and that's what they would do. So I have to do what they would do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And there's always a potential for that, or going the opposite way. Like, I'm not going to do that. Either way, a lesson is learned and a skill is developed. And as the parent, you don't have control over which that will be, which is what's so hard about this change in role. You never want to see your children struggle. And maybe sometimes doing what you would do isn't. I have plenty of examples of things I will tell my children, and sometimes I do tell my children about, where I'm like, this is what I did, and it went really bad. Take that information and do what you will. I want you to have all the information when you make this choice, because I'm confident that you can make the best choice for you if you have all of the information.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. Like, having all the information so that you can use that almost like a tool to figure your direction, to figure it out. So Heather, aren't you looking forward to when Baker is not 4 anymore and he's like a teenager?
Isn't this like what he is now? Isn't that like just less opinionated? Because right now he knows everything, and he will argue with you. Like, if you say, pizza is made of cheese and, pizza sauce. He would be like, no, it's not. It's pepperoni and bread or something. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So, so I think he's kind of going through that right now. I can't wait for him to get to that cute stage again. Like, like the 7, 8, 9, where they're like, please you.
That's a nice age. I remember that. Yep. And then
I do want him to be
middle
independent. School. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But also I want him to be cute and cuddly.
There's
so
a balance.
How do we make that happen?
I don't know. Mine's 6, almost 7, and she in no way is like geared to try to please me, which I love, right? I love that. Mm-hmm. And she is already a teenager.
And it frustrates
oh my
you.
Gosh. Oh man. Well, maybe then she'll get it out of the way early and she'll be like, in her 20s when she's 15.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, man, you're so responsible because we have a great relationship.
Oh,
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, since she's the oldest, I would think, well, you probably know this more than I do, but sometimes I've noticed in my friends' families, the oldest kind of does that, takes on that leadership role.
Mother hen.
Because they feel like, the mother hen, like, our friend's daughter that we always called the mini mom.
Mm-hmm.
She was
my
always
sister
the
was
mini
a mother
mom.
hen too. Was your sister a mother hen?
My sister, actually, not really. I have an older sister also. Yeah. And she was not, she was great, but in a lot of ways, but I just,
but she was significantly older.
Well, almost
kidding.
5 years. Yeah. It's still like that more than, 2 or 3 years, which is a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Mother hens.
I know. So Paige, do you have any siblings?
I do. I am the 3rd out of 4 girls.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Grandparents raised you all?
All but the last. The last is my half sister, but.
Oh, okay. Goodness. Wow. We're all girls. That's a lot of estrogen.
I know.
Yeah, are your kids, are yours girls, boys? We know you have at least one girl.
They're all girls.
Oh, wow.
Really? We're all girls here.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you must run in that somehow. There's a genetic thing there going on somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mostly women on my husband's side too. So.
Oh boy.
I'm comfortable with girls. I know how girls work. I remember being a teenage girl.
Yeah. Right. Hey, it was just yesterday for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Same.
No, but that's good that your husband, because then he knows how to deal with a bunch of women, so he's not uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
So, but I know we actually we want to talk to you again, Paige, at some point, so that we can talk more about younger kids, like stuff with kids Baker's age.
Well, I think like healing. I think we were talking about healing, like the trauma that you had as a kid, and not bringing that forward to your parenthood.
Yeah. So we want to, will you come back, record with us again some other day and touch on some of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my most passionate topics.
Awesome. So, and then if anybody wants to reach out to you, how do they find you? Tell us about your social media and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Parenting with Paige. I also have a Facebook page and a website, parentingwithpaige.com. I'm running a book club right now called Madness in Motherhood, where we are reading The Power of Showing Up by Dr. Dan Siegel. And it talks about attachment and how your parents responded to you kind of forms how you respond to your kids and how to work through that while helping your children. And with it, I created a course workbook because the book focuses on your child's kind of experience with it and the course workbook. And when I work you through different skills in the book club, it talks about your experience and how you're healing, because the book asks you to do a lot of introspection that a lot of people haven't had to do. So we kind of walk through that. And round 1 is coming to a close, but I'm doing round 2 of that starting in November, and it's been really powerful. So,
and where did they find out about that book club?
On my Instagram.
The Parenting with Paige. Sorry, if you saw me on video, I was going to follow you.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that's where they find me. And then I do some one-on-one parent coaching stuff, but a lot in groups too.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, awesome. We can't
thank you so much. Yeah, we could definitely want to talk again.
Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, if you want to reach out to us, I Can't Mom Today podcast at Gmail. And of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I Can't Mom Today podcast.
Mhm.
And what am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, don't forget to rate the
TikTok.
podcast if you get a second. Or we don't really
Yes.
slack with the TikTok.
Like,
But,
rate,
yeah.
subscribe.
If we get some more
Review.
positive comments on our Apple podcasts or any podcast, if you review positively, I'll make Vera do a TikTok.
Oh my God.
A reel.
I don't know if anybody wants that.
No, you got to do some kind of TikTok, like dancing. Man, I just want to see it. I want to see it.
That'll be scary. We might we might get more bad ratings because of it.
No, just don't leave one. If you leave one, then we will tickle you.
We'll find something to do.
We'll find you. Just kidding.
Well, thanks again, Paige, so much. It was a lot of fun and informative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Bye.